Hello. Hello.
Oh, hi, Rajguru sir.
Hey. Hi.
Thank you for joining. Uh, Hi, everybody. Uh, Welcome to the Tech Week Day 2. We have a excellent set of speakers today, and we will be continuing our discussions that we have yesterday and with the new set of speakers on different technologies. So before that, uh, we will be going, introducing speakers, and we'll speak on set of the agenda we have set it. Apart from that, before that, we will be presenting a slide. So it would be great, Sachin, if you could share the slides. Also, I would like to welcome my teammate Sachin for the Tech Week Day 2. Over to you, Sachin.
Hey, hi everyone. Hi Manoranjan, how are you?
Hi. Hi everyone.
So before moving ahead, so we are live on YouTube, and this stream is basically just for us. So sorry, not the stream, basically the meeting. So in this meeting, the speakers and the panel member will be here, and rest everyone is watching live on different social media platforms like YouTube, LinkedIn, and everywhere. So before moving on with the discussions about AI and other related things from Manoranjan, I would like to share a bit info about the tech week, and Tejveer is going to tell us about just a bit about introduction about the tech week and the CloudxLab. So I'm just sharing my screen. Just give me a moment. And let me know when it is visible to everyone.
Sure, Sachin.
Uh, I think Manoranjan is sharing my screen. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you, Manoranjan. Yeah, so it should be visible. Is
Yeah,
it?
it is. Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sachin. So this Tech Week that we are conducting from like 5th of August to 11th of August, we will be discussing on these trending technologies, specifically in artificial intelligence, deep learning, data science, machine learning, and the excellent set of speakers who we have invited, and also they have volunteered for to speak on these technologies. We really want to thank them. Apart from that, our main agenda of creating this tech week is to providing or the impart the knowledge or the experience of the speakers. Specifically, they have worked over the year in those domains, so that can reach to the individuals who are either want to build their careers in those technologies or those fields, or they want to upscale or learn from the industry expert. Uh, next slide, please. Okay. Apart from that, we also provide excellent, speakers who will be speaking on those technologies. There is a great opportunity there, where people who are joining or listening to this stream or join for day 2 of the Tech Week, they get incredible opportunity to network with these speakers and get their advices. It will be helpful in their career development. These exclusive sessions that we are conducting will be helpful for the learners. And next slide. So the usual format that we have kept yesterday will be the similar format we will be following today as well. There will be an introduction of the speaker who will be delivering their keynote session, and at the end of that there will be questions asked by the people who have joined the stream, as well as the learners who have shared their questions with us will be asked. And about CloudxLab, we at CloudxLab specialized into deep technologies, including data science, big data, machine learning, deep learning, and artificial intelligence. And through this, we provide knowledge as well as skills for the learners that can make them industry ready. There are set of skills industry required in each of these domains. So we try to provide customized courses as well as projects and all through our courses in collaboration with esteemed institutions, as well as the courses created by CloudxLab as well. So we provide our services in order to train the individuals specifically and make them industry ready. And one of the key feature of CloudxLab is its gamified lab environment, and through which learners can do hands-on exercises, projects, and there is no requirement of downloading or installing anything. It's all available on the cloud that you can check on our CloudxLab. There are more than 45 to 50 tools and technologies available on our lab, which comes pretty handy while learners practice or do the hands-on exercises. Apart from that, currently we have launched a placement eligibility test, which is a 2-round examination for the people who either looking to career growth or looking for an opportunity in any of those domains of data science, machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence. So we create these exams specifically for our hiring partners who reach out to us with the set of openings they have in their organization. And through this, it's a excellent opportunity for the learners. They can go through this exam, complete their 2 rounds, and based on their qualifications, we connect need with the supply basically. So it's a great opportunity for everyone. We constantly share announcement about the same with the learners who have signed up with the CloudxLab. Can check out for replacement. Apart from that, so today our first speaker is Manoranjan Rajguru. So thank you so much for joining a day 2 of Tech Week. A brief introduction about Mr. Rajguru is a specialist in generative AI and large language models, currently serving as an AI global black belt at Microsoft. With extensive experience in AI and machine learning, Manoranjan has previously worked as a data scientist at Amazon Web Services. He is prominent contributor to the AI community. His work encompasses enhancing data visualization, building task execution engines, and fine-tuning large language models. So please join me in welcoming our esteemed speaker, Mr. Rajguru. Over to you.
Thanks, Tajveer. Am I audible now?
Yeah, so you are.
Okay. Thanks for the introduction. Can I share my screen now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was just adding a bit of the things about it. Like when I heard about the title AI Global Black Belt, so I was like really surprised. What is this title? I would like to know more about it. So whatever we add in the slides, right, that is not really enough for the title and your achievements. What I can see written here, right? So I would like to share one thing or ask one thing from the audience is that you can keep on asking your questions in the chat and somebody will be answering that. And other than that, Manoranjan's LinkedIn profile is available everywhere. Feel free to connect with them. Yeah, over to you, Manoranjan. I'm Rish. Just stop sharing my screen. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Sachin. Thanks for that. Yeah. Let me just quickly share my screen. Okay, cool. On that global black belt thing, I think we do get a global black belt, not global, but yeah, I think so this is how they have named it, our team.
Okay.
So we basically focused on specific areas within Microsoft. So I think generative AI is one such area, and yeah, I'm glad to be part of the team who works on the cutting edge technologies. So yeah, hi everyone, my name is Manoranjan. I think we already have introductions. Today I'll be speaking on LLMOps with Azure AI. So this is the topic that is very like kind of dear to me, because I have spent quite a bit of time on MLOps and a bit of time on kind of moving machine learning models to productions. Being a data scientist, I have seen how we struggle to move things into productions. So yeah, I think LLMOps are the second phase of generative AI, is where all the POCs are now moving into productions. So I think generative AI is a key, like LLMOps is a key area that everyone should kind of understand and try to implement in their respective fields. So let's understand what is LLMOps, right? So if you look at LLMOps, I think it basically uh, uh, have three pillars, right? One is people, second is processes, and third one is platform. Why do we say that? So one thing is, as we build all generative AI applications or all these models, I think everyone kind of builds their own into specific, maybe a Jupyter notebook, maybe someone is using the Visual Studio Code, or maybe it's on different IDs. People, everyone kind of tries it out, right? Now, once we have built this, I think the way that we currently work is in any enterprise. If you look at it, is everyone has their own set of processes, right? Someone will say you have a Jupyter notebook, you need to put it in the Python file, put it in the respective repository in this particular format, and then only your particular POC will go into productions. And obviously, each enterprise has their own set of platforms, maybe in cloud or maybe it on premise. But these are the fundamental pillars on which we typically work on moving any Gen AI applications to into productions. Now, being like, if you look at these three pillars, how does LLM ops works is that how can we kind of formalize and create a lot of standards on top of these pillars. Now, if you look at what are the benefits that we get from LLM ops, is it brings a lot of automations, right? That means whatever you currently do, as just telling, is bringing a small Jupyter notebook or a Python file into a production ready code repository. If it can be automated, then it can bring a lot of values in terms of moving things fast. Collaboration, I think, again, right, like if you have multiple teams from data engineering to data science to DevOps and SRE, I think if the LLM ops is in place, the collaboration becomes such smooth, right? Because you don't really have to go and ask your DevOps people to write a specific infra code for you, or maybe a specific container registry for you, right? Like you can just make it so smooth, and it's just kind of standard practice that you can maintain. Third is reproducibility. I think what essentially enterprise has, we have seen it, is that when we have multiple number of teams, and each individual team tend to build its own artifacts, and they use it, right? But what happens is, since everyone kinds of use their own kind of libraries or frameworks, reproducibility is something that no one really bothers about. But I think if we have these components and pipelines into place, I think reproducibility will be a significant factor once we build the LLM ops. Let's understand the paradigm shift from MLOps to LLMOps, right? I think MLOps is being around from yeah, like from 2019 or 2020 around. So I have seen it if traditionally from a more kind of statistical model moving into productions, even the deep learning models for say. So if you look at from the shift that has happened, is if you look at from an audience perspective, I think ML engineer and data scientists were the key audience for ML ops. But I think now the addition of app developers, right? And now we call it Gen AI apps, is where all the applications that are there currently will have some form of Gen AI integrations going forward. Similarly, for asset to share, I think when we were talking about previously on ML ops, the asset that we used to have is just model files, the pickle files, the data environment, the Docker container files, the features, the model that will be used, the features that will be used for predictions. But I think when we talk about LLMOps, I think we talk about prompts, we talk about agents, chains, APIs. These are the things that we really care when we build Gen AI applications. Again, the metrics, evaluation metrics itself is now changing from standard F1 score or precision recall to a more quality-based metrics like things like accuracy, similarity, groundness. I think safety and biasness also is coming into picture. Even the operationalization metrics also is now a key factor, right? We actually care about the latency, the throughput, the request per minute. All this is something that we also care about. Then finally, in terms of ML models, I think previously all the MLOps was more focused on building models from scratch, models like scikit-learn, TensorFlow, PyTorch. But now we really care about most of the enterprise that we see typically who uses Gen AI are on using closed source models. There are a few are obviously using open source model like Llama and all, but most of the companies are using OpenAI or Cloud or any kind of such models. So I think the ML models are also changing, and we as LLMOps kind of as a provider as also has to kind of evolve ourselves. Now, if you look at LLM of life cycle, I think if you look at how this work is, if you, traditionally for Gen AI applications, we start with the kind of ideating or exploring our POCs. This is where we trying to find the best prompt that works for us. The hypothesis that this is how we have to build our chain or agent. What LLM is fits for you, whether it is an open source LLM or a proprietary LLMs, is something that we kind of explore and we finalize. The next we move it to building or augmenting phase. This is where our POC is approved by the business. We are ready to move into productions. We think about how to do exception handling, how to do prompt engineering, how to do evaluation of our models. So once you finalize all this, the last piece is moving all these things into production, right? That's where we talk about quota. If you have proprietary models, I think we know that quota management is a very important thing. Second thing is about how do we deploy, whether we deploy it in a Kubernetes instance or whether we deploy it in a managed online endpoint instance. We also need to think about security and also monitoring. Security, when we say, we also need to think about content filtering, safety, and when we talk about monitoring, obviously monitoring is also different in terms of Gen AI. As I said, it's more about operationalization metrics plus your things like safety metrics as well. So again, it's a iterative process. That means you start with something, and at each stage of this process, if for example the idea changes, then you again go back and do your hypothesis. If the accuracy of your Gen AI apps is low, then you go back and work on the prompt engineering, or you may even think of fine tuning. So since it is a continuous evaluation process, and each stage from production stage to POC stage can move very fast, right? If for a given specific feature request, that means your project life cycle has to be agile and has to be more kind of an automated way, where you can do this continuous integration, continuous model building, and continuous model deployment very smoothly. That's where the LLMOps life cycle comes into picture. So I think this is what typically with Microsoft world, and when you come to Microsoft world, this is what LLMOps means to us. So we divide it into three, again the same area, but in different areas. Right now, here in this case, we in ideating and exploring phase, we identify our business use case, we discover our model, test our prompt, connect to different data sources. When we in the building phase, we create this something called PromptFlow, which I'll be talking about. We evaluate our PromptFlow, modify the flow if required, then test it on a larger data set and do all this evaluation analysis on different prompts to find out which one is working well for us and move ahead with that. Finally, in operationalization phase, we talk about deploying into an endpoint, maybe in a Kubernetes endpoint or a managed online endpoint, add monitoring and alerts into this, and integrating into various applications, maybe through REST or any other protocol. So I think again, each these concepts, there are maturity model, right? That means not all organization will have this just go ahead and just have the best LLMOps framework for you. It's a continuous ongoing process. You start slow and you move more optimized and more advanced cases, right? That means there is a concept called 1:100 use case. That means if your one use case, you are the way that you think or approach to a problem, or you have 100 use case, you have a different way of looking at it, right? I think so the idea is that when you have or go into that optimized kind of maturity model, you tend to have this fully automated LLMOps from all the components that we'll be talking about in the next slide. So I think so if you look at fundamentally on LLMOps, I think typically things like finding or managing the foundational models, version control of prompts with CI/CD, then discovery of prompts, reusability of prompts within organization, and finally the responsible and AI governance is also into picture. So AI governance is a very important term when we talk about Gen AI apps. I think no one really cares about governance, but I think governance is also a very important thing when the models itself are evolving a lot, right? Like we have models like we have changed 6 models within like last 6 months with all these proprietary models coming in. So I think it's very important that we have a governance in place to capture these changes very fast. These are Azure AI portfolio. With Azure AI, we have the setup portfolio. We in the lower bottom half, you see we have Azure Machine Learning, which is our managed machine learning framework. It has model PromptFlow, like it has flow orchestration. That means that you can manage and use your prompts. We have responsible model design. That means all the model or all the Gen AI apps you build will follow the responsible AI portfolio. Then we have model fine tuning and model training. Again, there are Azure AI services, which is like pure API driven AI services that we have. Then we have all the models from GPT to open source to small language models, model as a service for open source model as well as proprietary models. Then on top of it, we have everything, right? We talk about these tools, chains. Then we have enterprise scale deployment of these models. So if you look at holistically, I think if you are more into training these models, we have all the infrastructure in place. If you are into fine tuning open source model, we have infrastructure in place. If you are only into Gen AI app development, we have all the tool chain in place. And if you are holistically looking at from an enterprise perspective, we have all the end-to-end Gen AI apps platform and frameworks available with us. So I think if you look at LLMOps, the most important what customer typically or any enterprise want is they want private data access and controls. They want prompt engineering to be automated, CI/CD, iterative experimentation, version control, then deployment and optimization, then finally safety and responsible AI. And all this something that we can basically we'll deep dive into our next slide. So I think PromptFlow. So this is where this is our way of this is a lower level orchestration framework, and it is within. If you I'll show you a demo of that as well. So it's a framework where essentially you can integrate any orchestrator like high level orchestrator like LangChain, Llama Index, or OpenAI SDK into PromptFlow as a tool. And then you can suppose you are having a code in OpenAI SDK Python purely written, you can onboard the same into PromptFlow. If you like flow level language, like kind of a no code low code kind of framework, you can just use directly itself from Flow. Like we have a lot of tools and we have a lot of inbuilt flows which you can go ahead and use it, like just a drag and drop feature where you can build Gen AI apps. And if you're like having like high level orchestrator, complex orchestrator like suppose AutoGen or LangChain or Llama Index, you can easily onboard that into PromptFlow. It has list of features available, like it has you'll be able to manage the connections, you will easily you'll be able to evaluate, you will be able to trace and debug easily your complex flows. You will be able to manage your prompts, like version controlling of prompts. Then finally, you'll be able to compare the individual version of your app, like development's life cycle, to see which one is working well, and then you can select the one that works well with you. So with this, I'll go ahead and do a simple demo of our applications. So what is that we are talking about? Let me just quickly bring this. So when you look at any LLMOps, so this is Azure AI Studio that comes with Azure. So just go to ai.azure.com and you will be able to go to this landing page. In this particular landing page, you can go ahead and look at all the model. If you click on model catalog, we have all the models, both proprietary models from OpenAI, from Mistral, A121 Labs, Snowflake, Databricks, all these proprietary models plus open source models as well. I think we have around 1600 models within Azure AI model catalog. Each model we know has its own set of benchmarking associated with it. So if you want to holistically look at different benchmarking, so here you can just go ahead and look at different benchmarking numbers for each of these models. Like if you see here, we have Cohere model to GPT-4o models, and each these models have different level of from MMLU to human evaluation to GSMK. So we have a lot of benchmarking which has already been done, and you can go ahead and select like just see the benchmarking and select the best model based on your price to performance ratio that you want to select. Prompt catalog, again, here we provides a set of pre-built Microsoft curated prompts from travel assistant to insurance agent to cycle analyst to everything, right? You can go ahead and use thousands of prompts that we have which Microsoft has curated for you. Then you can actually go ahead and do if I click on home, you can create your own projects. Like for example, in this case, I have used a sample particular project where I have used my use case into it. Then what essentially I can do is I can go ahead and create a project. Now, for example, in this case, suppose I have used a GitHub repository. Here I have built, this is a typical RAG chatbot that I'm building, for example. Then, yeah, like I can just start writing my prompt and Python code, which is associated in this particular folder. It has list of, I'll share this repository with the audience itself, where it has so it's basically containing the Python code that is required for creating a RAG bot. So once you have done this, then you can with a check-in, like it's a CI/CD. That means whenever you check into this particular repository, a GitHub action will be triggered, which will do continuous integration and continuous deployment. So essentially, what you can do is you can go to the evaluation. Like if I click on this, one second, I go to Azure AI Studio. Click on this evaluation, so you will be able to see the this particular RAG chatbot, how this RAG chatbot is performing on my particular evaluation data set. So you can go ahead and click this evaluation metrics. So if you click on this, it's loading. Yeah. So here you go. So this particular RAG chatbot that I have built just now and checked into my GitHub repository has different matrices. Again, we know that for RAG, it's apart from your traditional F1 score, we have other score which is like similarity score, coherence, and fluency. And obviously, there are tons of other matrices that are available within Azure AI Studio. You can have your own custom metrics as well, and you can go ahead and select. You can look at individual question and answer and see what is the score that you got for individual your evaluation or ground truth data set. So this the one more benefit of this is, suppose you are running two different version of your prompt, and you want to compare whether the new one is working well with compared to the other one. You can just select these two and click on compare. In this case, what will happen is you'll be able to see the different the at individual individual prompt level, what is the score that you are getting, will be able to compare. So the way that it works is, suppose you are building your Gen AI apps and you have multiple level of code changes that you are doing, and you really want to check whether the newer version of the code is working compared to the older version of prompt or code, right? Or even the model. Like for example, you're using GPT-4 Turbo, you want to use GPT-4o, and you want to compare whether GPT-4o is working well for me with compared to GPT-4 Turbo. So you'll be able to do that with a single click. So the way that it helps you is that once you're okay with the evaluation, you can go ahead and do the deployment. Again, the deployment can be of a Kubernetes instance deployment or a managed online deployment. Again, it is automated. That means once you're okay with the deployment, with the evaluation score, you will be able to deploy this model into in this particular case, I have used a managed online deployment. That means I can go ahead and I can go ahead and test my model. So I go ahead and I can test my model here. So it's a RAG chatbot. So I give any question, it will run through the vector data store and get the relevant context for me, pass on to the model and get the answer for me. So yeah, so this is how you'll be able to, like, with one GitHub post, everything from your evaluation to your comparing your models with the older version of your model, you'll be able to deploy as a REST endpoint as a single click. Other benefit that we have is we also do things like model versioning. That means each prompt that you're writing, will be able to version not only with the prompt but also the whole container itself, right? That means suppose you are using a PyPDF library today and you want to check PDF Plumber library if that works well for you. So yeah, I think you even that level of comparison and that level of versioning of your model that you want to do, you can do at a container level itself. Second thing is monitoring. I think suppose you want to do monitoring, right? That means you have already deployed this model into production and now you want to monitor what are my operational metrics are available. So you'll be able to do the online monitoring as well. The online monitoring can be of two types. One is operationalization monitoring, and second is the quality monitoring. That means suppose in the operational side, you look at how many requests that you got, what is the token that you consume, both from a like input token perspective and a completion token perspective. And you also want to do is you want to track in your production environment what is the input that question that you are getting, and what is the output that you are getting, and what is whether you are actually doing some quality violation from a evaluation perspective, right? That means suppose if there is a quality of your answers is not relevant, then it will basically create a it will basically create a alert for you and you will get notifications around it. So I think this is one of the important feature. Once you again, these are built-in violations which Microsoft provides, but there are some custom violations that you want to build, or you want to use it, you can attach to it as well. Another point that I want to discuss, given we have only 10 more minutes, is tracing features, right? That means suppose you are building your Gen AI apps. It's a complex multi-agent, multi-model agent, and you want to you're running these evaluations on hundreds of ground truth. Suppose you want to see for a specific case you got wrong answer, right? You want to debug it. It's very difficult, right? That means it's very difficult for us to debug that right away. If it has multiple LLM call and it do back and forth between tools and tools to LLM to back and again to tools and to LLM, and if there are multiple agents, then again it becomes very complex. So yeah, the traceability functions helps you in debugging this. So 1 second. So I think PromptFlow provides this traceability feature where you will be able to do the tracing of individual records, and you will be able to see that, for example, in this particular case, I'm giving an example. In this particular case, we see that the output that we got, this is the ground truth. This is my question. This is my output. But the answer that I got is not relevant for me. For example, in this case, I'll click on trace and I'll go to this and I'll be able to check what is the the input that I got, what is the answer that I got, what is the prompt that it passed to this model, and I'll be able to select individually. I'll be able to debug the flow of my LLM. Again, there are other traceability features that are available. Like for example, we have open telemetry, like all the Langsmith and all the other like observability tools are there. But Azure AI Studio is the first platform which kind of gives you this built-in within the studio itself, that you don't need to separately use any other. And if it is in a private endpoint, you don't even need to worry about your data privacy and all. This is one of the important feature for debugging and this thing. So I think while we talk about all this, the idea of LLMOps is while everything is there in my GitHub, everything there in my notebook. When I'm okay with my prompt or with my code, when I want to move things into production, there are checks on evaluations. There are checks on debugging, and finally even when you're okay with the evaluation, things are moving into production. When you are creating an endpoint for you, there are checks on the online monitoring as well, both at a operationalization. That means if the latency is high, then that is also a red mark. If the quality violations are triggered, then that is also a red mark. So I think, yeah, so this is what is LLM ops in brief. I think given we have 5 minutes, so I'll spend 5 minutes for some questions, and then we may want to take it forward. Yeah. Sachin,
Hey,
yeah.
yeah. Hey, Manoranjan. So that was a great talk on LLM ops. I basically I'm myself going through the DevOps these days,
Okay.
and like we are also working on some AI projects. So it was like quite insightful for me. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the overview. And like given the things like Azure is providing, I would really love to explore the Azure as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah. So this is what we want is I think yeah, we have these platforms, but I think, yeah, there are a lot of knowledge that needs to be shared with the dev community. I think to have understand that these platforms are there. We know there are a lot of things which are also equivalent in open source world, which is happening around, and everything has its own open source equivalent, right? But having everything together in a single platform with low code
yeah,
no code kind of setup really makes that difference. Yeah.
yeah. So we in CloudxLab, when we set up the CloudxLab, like when Sandeep started it. So even now, like almost every component is basically open source, like that is available.
Yeah.
But when it comes to setting up everything on their own, and when you are learning new things, so right, it becomes quite difficult to set up at first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
becomes really helpful, like if there is a tool available and we can actually focus on the learnings instead of just tinkering around and fixing the minor glitches of the OS and other things, other dependencies, which basically uh, makes us focus on the system related thing instead of the actual LLM and the actual development of the product.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Yeah.
anyway, so there are a few questions which we collected earlier and which people are pasting in the chat. So I would like to simply go through them and ask you. And these questions are basically from our side also. That
Yeah.
so I just went through the profile and I saw that you are working in data science since the very beginning of your career. Like it's
Yeah.
even when data science, like many people didn't know about it, right? Like
Yeah.
since I think 2014 or 15, you are working in it. So what?
2015. Yeah.
Yeah. Capgemini, I think you started with, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, what inspired you to focus on data science and then moving towards the Gen AI and LLM? So, like when everybody else was like as a developer choosing some other career, you
Yeah.
actually focused on the data science from the very beginning. So, what inspired you for that?
Yeah, I think it's a long story short. I think I got to know about data science from my wife actually. She was not my wife in 2015, but yeah, like I got to know from her. So when I saw these kind of projects, I think kind of yeah, like I just kind of loved the way that these projects were, and I love the idea of. I think that time it was predictive maintenance is something that that was happening there. So we went deep dive into it. Luckily, I got some of the projects which was into predictive maintenance, and yeah, I think the journey started from there. I think inspirational from inspiration perspective, I think see, it's all about the thing that you like. I think I liked the interaction of science plus math plus code. I was not a very good coder, by the way, and but I was very good into from analysis analytics skill, but yeah, I was decent enough in coding, so I just kind of managed. But yeah, like from anyone who is learning, I think things are moving really fast. I think I used to do like kind of A/B testing a lot. Like I just used to do like all this statistical hypothesis. I don't know, like things are moved so fast that yeah, every day you need to learn. Like for giving this talk, I just learned like 3 4 days just to uh, collect everything, put it into a slide, and yeah, I think you just have to learn, and that should be the motivation factor for you.
Great, great, great. So many of, like as you said that the math plus coding, right? So many of the learners like who enroll in our courses, the first question which comes to us, they say that I'm not from a coding background. I don't know like how to even write the print statement.
Yeah.
So even though like we make them understand like yes you can do it, like it's not like you don't know the coding so you cannot actually start with the data science,
Yeah.
right? But our answers is a different thing that is coming from a team. But I would like to add like or I would like to know from you that how you see it. Like if I come to you and I say that I'm not from a coding background and I want to I like some data science thing and I saw some blogs and posts and I saw something going on in the trend, I want to explore. So how, what would you suggest to me?
Yeah. So yeah, I think the answer is I'll say pre-Gen AI and post-Gen AI. Again, the answers will vary. So pre-Gen AI, I think uh, even if you are very bad at code, I think it used to like there was not such a big problem for you, right? Like because like we used to have this Jupyter. Mostly we used to work in Jupyter notebooks, and there
Yeah.
will be very small here and there some again MLOps stuff, but again there's a different team and everything used to be like very smooth, right? For data scientists, I think yeah, it was not a very codify kind of environment. But I think when you move to Gen AI, I think coding is something that is very important these days, right? That means uh, if you look at any so the way that I look at it is that something that you should improve with Gen AI specifically if you want to move, like there are statistical models, statistical roles are still available. I'm not saying everything is Gen AI. I worked in banks, I worked in JP Morgan City. I think there are use cases which still requires like pure random forest model, like XGBoost model, right? You can choose those profiles as well. But if you are into Gen AI, I would recommend that you do a lot of coding, and you very good at coding as well. Learn the data structure, class, OOPS concepts, and everything, factory pattern, because these really helps you in effectively handling the prompts, managing the state of the these, right? Like as you move to agents and all this complicated stuff, I think it really helps if you are good at coding.
Great, great, great. Great. A few more questions before we move ahead. So, see, when you started with data science, so there might be some unexpected results like, okay, I'm doing this, and now the output is something different. So, when something unexpected comes in, like, how do you address these challenges? Like you are developing something but ends up doing something else, or you realize that oh this is not exactly how this is going the way I thought, or maybe the way it is supposed to be happen. which you described in the very early stage of starting working on the project. So how do you address those challenges?
Yeah. See, okay. No, I think the way that I used to handle now is basically this way, right? Is if your processes and your groundwork is solid, right? That means suppose you're building a classification model. Okay, I'll talk about maybe statistical model and Gen AI. A statistical model, if you're building classification model, right? If your hypothesis is correct, that means you think that this particular feature will have more predictability, and this feature I can bring in to increase the accuracy of this model. These are the data points that I would like to be part of my hypothesis. I think if those groundworks are perfect, then even if you are not if even if your results is not in favor of you, you will be able to quickly do a turnaround, right? That means you know where it going wrong. And another thing that when you're building all this thing is the way that you need to communicate with business or your stakeholder is also a very crucial factor when we're building these kind of models, right? That means not everything is like random forest dot fit. Not everything is like just building models, right? But there are a lot of analysis that has to happen, and all these analysis are, if correct, I think building models and getting the right evaluation, if you're already having, even if you're wrong, you will be able to quickly turn around. So I think quickly turning around is the very important thing, because yeah, things can get a lot of messy. I have seen like people have written like untitled underscore 22.ipynb, right? Like people can grow crazy, like they create notebooks and do a lot of experimentation, and yeah, they struggle. So I think these are the advice that I want to give.
Great, great. Yeah, I think we should realize like when to switch the thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like we can be lost like fixing one thing, but this might be the case that, oh, we have to stop here and start working on the other thing, or let's change the complete workflow of it. Right. So
Yeah.
sometimes we have to stop somewhere. Otherwise, like what happens from the developer point of view, that we get lost. Okay, we are working on one small thing and continuously making improvements, but the end product is not building up.
Agree. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
One last question, if you permit, Manoranjan, I would like to
Yeah.
ask that as you talked about the LLM ops, right? So
Yeah.
when it comes to like maintaining the life cycle, especially like regarding scalability and maintenance, so how do we handle this? Like how do we handle the scalability of LLM in production?
Yeah, so I think, see, when you talk about scalability, two things,
Yeah.
right? One is the underlying foundational model. That means suppose you are using GPT-4 or Claude or any other proprietary models. I think you need to understand what is with your current deployment, what is the RPM and what is the TPM it will be able to handle, right? That. So if you look at Azure OpenAI perspective, we first do is a capacity planning, right? That means how
Mhm.
many deployment that you need to do, what should be your TPM limit, what is your rate limit that you should set, everything that you first need to figure out. And all this you can do is understanding from a business perspective, right? Is how many requests, how many number of users that is there, like which is called BAU, active business active users, right? Then second thing that you talk about is each user, how many requests they will do per minute. For each request, what will be your prompt size? Like what is your token input token size, your completion token size? All this you need to calculate. Then you basically plan your from a foundational model perspective. You understand the deployment. For example, if I'm going for open source model, how many GPUs are required? Which GPUs you need to deploy, right? Whether it is A100
Mhm.
or it is H100, how many you can serve. So all this you need to calculate. From a deployment perspective of your applications, again, it's I think since it will be again two things is whether it is a lightweight kind of application, it's just pure API driven call. Then you whether the streaming is enabled, whether there are multiple API call that is happening from the same from your application. That means suppose you have built application for banking, a lot of other data sources are connected. So think about that, then choose your infrastructure platform, right? Whether you want to go ahead with a cloud-based deployment, on-premise, how many, if you are going with Kubernetes, how many nodes you want to select, everything that you need to first right size. Answering your question on scalability, I think two things is very important. One is sizing, and second thing is your how quickly you can auto scale your infrastructure, right? That means from based on user requirement. And if you are having those flexibility, I think that solves the problem. Yeah.
Great. Got it. Like you, I think described it pretty well. And
Yeah.
I myself was like I myself is impressed. So I hope like the audience will also be like very impressed from that. Anyways, so let's thank you, Manoranjan
No
for
problem.
the
Yeah.
great insights in the LLMOps. And I would surely be like stay in touch with you. I
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I would request like everyone from the audience like utilize this chance to get in touch with him. And I hope like if the time permits, he will surely respond to everyone.
Yes.
And thank you,
Thank you.
Manoran.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Manoranjan,
Thank
for
you.
your
Thank you.
insightful
Thanks.
session on LLMOps. I
Thank you,
really
Keshav. Yeah.
appreciate you taking your time and join this session. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, thank you to Manoranjan. And our next speaker today is uh, Mr. Shanthababu Pandian. And a bit intro about Mr. Shanthababu is he has over 23 years of extensive experience in information and technologies. I specialize in data engineering and analytic solution, data science, machine learning, and generative AI development and its applications using agile methodology and various customer related building complex building data models and business intelligence and data science product for various customer located across UK and US regions. He holds a bachelor degree in economics, electronics and communication engineering, followed by 3 masters, MTech, MBA, and MS from prestigious universities in India. Uh, Additionally, he has a prestigious program in artificial intelligence and machine learning from the University of Texas and post-graduation certification in data science from Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. He is the director of data and AI in product services and consulting organization in London, England. Shanthababu is not just a leader, but a passionate advocate for team building and nurturing. I assist global customers in achieving business value by leveraging reliable and scalable data engineering approaches and adopting AI and generative AI technologies. His dedication to leading data-driven transformation and building and nurturing teams of expert is a testament of his commitment and his work and his team. His key areas are data analytics, data engineering, and ML, generative AI solution, data architecting and modeling, data quality, data governance, and privacy. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed speaker, Shanthababu Pandian.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon and good evening. So wherever you guys are joining. So thanks, CloudxLab, for this great opportunity for me to connect you with you guys as well as the global audience.
Hi,
All right.
Shanthababu.
Thanks. Hi, Sachin. Hi, Rajguru Singh.
I was
Yeah.
really like impressed about while I saw that you're contributing to the healthcare using the AI. Like whenever like usually I come across the things like related to AI in SaaS or maybe AI in our daily usage of like maybe GPT kind of thing where we can generate and easily get it done the day-to-day writing task or anything.
Yep.
But when I saw the introduction about the healthcare, so I was like curious to know like how AI is contributing in the healthcare. So
Yeah.
over to you, Shantanu. Let's move ahead with that.
Yep. Thanks. And it's a wonderful thing. So let me share my slides so that so we can start without further delay. Okay. So please let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Right. So once again, thanks everyone for joining the session as well as your time as well. So I think Tejas Singh actually given a brief introduction about myself. So without further delay, let me get into that. Yeah. So basically, this the Gen AI is leading the jargon, like the leading the world, and what is that like? Even data science and machine learning things. Actually, we are discussing the many years, but the Gen AI is like changing the world. I would say, and predominantly because the way it approaches, it's totally different. That perspective, like my choice as well as like the my way of like interacting with the multiple customers. So that could be one of the major thing the healthcare industry. Even the Sachin mentioned that, right? So how this is going to be like in healthcare industries. So, guys, this is a very simple theorem. When you have the data with respect to the any domain, and the nature of the things will be a bit different, but playing around with the data is a base and bottom line concept. But once we have the SMEs and what kind of the tools and technology they need, any technology, any domain, then it's our job is very easiest once we understood like what we need to do. That's it. Right. Without further delay, let me jump into the my slides. So here I have like a considerable amount of slides. I don't know like whether you have a time to complete. I'll try to push that. If time delay, please buzz me, Sachin, so that I can stop. We can jump into the Q&A. All right, guys.
Yeah,
So
sure.
here,
All the
yeah,
time.
excellent. So here the things are given the left brain as well as the right brain of the human being. So one is going to be completely is a logical building. So that's the reason actually we have worked on multiple writing the coding and all the stuff with that the brain setup actually by default. So the when I talk about like AI and ML, mostly like we are talking about like how we can like work with the data and how we can generate predictive modeling or else like the classification or clustering. There are so many things are like with respect to AI, deep learning, NLP, whatever it is. But when I get into the generative AI, it's a completely creative one. This is a completely is a creative one. So we should understand that main thing in our thoughts. So then the Gen AI is not a big deal for us. So honestly telling, when you're comparing with AI ML, generative AI is pretty much interesting as well as like a very creative. That's the reason actually the brain setup as the right brain will talk about the creative stuff. So that's the reason. So they are matching the generative AI like aligning with our right brain and AML with respect to the left brain. There's a logical building, right? So if you ask me the question, what is that the generative AI? Generative is nothing but a simple word. The word generative implies the creative ability. Instead of doing it yourself, it generated on your behalf. That's a very important concept because this specific the technology helping us to generate the new content. If you say the one line statement, the content could be a summary or text or audio video or like whatever, like it's vice versa. So that's the main the thumb rule with respect to the Gen AI. So here a simple the block diagram how it is works. So the input could be anything. It could be audio or video or image or any kind of like input. It could be like in technically say it's going to be like a structured or unstructured or semi-structured, whatever the things. But this generative AI models will digest that along with the other components like our what is that vector database as well as prompt engineering point of view, enhancing the performance, and we can generate the text and the audio and video and the same way generate the image as well. So hope you guys are familiar with all this chat GPT and meta in your WhatsApp as well. So nowadays, so we are being and playing around with that. That's very important thing. So internally we talk about like the GPT, that's a chat GPT, right? The GPT is something but what generative pre-transformer. So the generative pre-transform probably like the earlier session. So my friend is already explained to you, so that I don't want to go through that. But even the like it's a little bit different here. So that GPT is like helping us to make sure that the creating content. But if you go in detail around about LLM and how it is working, it takes a lot of time to explain about that. That's a major chunk in that specific generative AI um, architecture perspective. So with simple understanding of generative AI means it's capable to generate the text, audio, video, and image. Right. So just we'll try to understand what exactly the history behind that, so that we can connecting with the domain, the healthcare industries. Probably I should try to show some demo using the Chat GPT, so probably you can understand better way. So we are thinking like a generative AI is actually recently comes up like after the Chat GPT in the picture. Oh no, it's not that like that, but because it started around 1950s itself. So after that, there are so many like what is it like modification and enhancement with respect to this technology, and now we have the facilities of the infrastructure scaling up, scaling down, and so many stuff. Now we are into that in around 2018. We come into the picture of GPT model, and it's generation like it's very huge. But after that, if you look at that, like after 2018, the evaluation and the utilization and the use cases for the specific generative AI is going very, very massive stuff. So all the industries started adapting, not only for technology interest, because the benefits, that's very important. So there are so many things aligning with that. So that's the reason across the globe there is a demand for the generative AI, the developers and architect demand across the different domains, right, irrespective of any domains. So this is just a glimpse to understand like where we started and where we are now. So here I put up something like a stars, so you can understand the 1952, the person who built a simple program to generate the letter. It's a kind of a love letter to his lover, and he's mentioned that is like he's right when he executing the program will create a very nice and jazzy words and other stuff to writing the program in the letter in the form of like a sweet and jazzy letter to the person. So after that, it was evaluated in so many things like kind of the IBM. They build that computers. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. The people like me or my age group, like they may aware of that. Like there was a the champion, world champion, Carlos Castro. He plays against with the system, and then I mean a computer, and the computer win against this champion. So that is a kind of AI and generative AI, because the generative AI means like it's learning by itself, reinforcement learning, something kind of stuff. But the journey was very huge. So it's like as I keep on going, and then now we are on almost 2024. So we are doing a lot of exercise, and we are building a lot of capabilities. There is this is a very high level history. So just for an understanding perspective, like I included in my slides, and we'll go through that, like what are the opportunities and what are the domains they're adapting the generative AI. So generative AI actually telling like it's like already the what is that like the most of the industries are started adapting, and generative AI use cases deliver the significant value of 75% of concentrated of customer operations of marketing and sales perspective. Because even I worked on multiple customers, the outcome is really amazing, but still there is a lot of issues, because means any product or anything comes to the market, that could be a plus or minus, right? So in that case, generative as well as some plus or minus. If you're asking me what could be the major thing, I can say is a hallucination, because hallucination is like that. It started building the what is it like unnecessary or like exaggerated the statement along with the content, but which is not required for us to present. So we need to consider all those things and fine tuning that. Anyway, when you are training something, then it needs to be like beyond the bandwidth. We need to understand. We need to precisely what is it like condense them into the proper way. So there is we have a lot of techniques in that, so we can use that, and we can provide that. That's the main thing. All right. So if you ask me, like generally when I used to take a sessions or like any presentation with my customer, they may ask like how and why we want to go to the ML or AI solution. If you have the data, definitely we can find out like what is in it, and the insight, finding the insight, understanding the base thing, and so we can find the solutions and proactively. That's a very important thing. The same way for generative AI as well, Gen AI generally, it is applicable for manufacturing industry, pharma industries, and software development, and banking, marketing, entertainment, and so many things. Because I cannot put everything over here, so I come up with a few examples here. So, and make sure that don't panic about like a generative AI, because the people are telling like once the generative AI into the picture, so there may be a job loss in the industry. Not like that, because when I joined the like industries like 23 years back, so there was only the one role. It's like a software developer or senior software developer, right? After that, it could be a multiple roles comes up. Nowadays, there are so many roles like a data analyst, data engineering, and data engineering, data what is that like testers, and then data stewards, data governance, data quality engineers. So that don't panic about that, like, because whenever the new things are comes up, there might be a job losses somewhere, but the potential of opening job opening across. That's a very important thing. So keep it in that mind. So don't panic apart from this presentation. That's very important thing for you guys. Let's try. So with respect to these adoption, already the marketing industries, they are adapting, because they are ready to, right, they are building that nice content and the marketing strategy planning, because the generative AI is capable to building the very nice content by based on the appropriate prompting, and the what is that, the sample data is given to that system, so that the marketing, it's going crazy. And apart from that, like the technology and consulting teams also using very effectively. And the teaching perspective, there was a industries 5.0, it's leading technology, and it's coming to the picture, so that like all education universities, they're going to adapt to the Gen AI for multiple reasons. Of course, the healthcare is going to be a 15%, but the use cases are enormous. So certainly the all the healthcare and pharma industries, they are adapting one by one slowly on this one. So coming to the point, so what the objective of this today's session, generative AI in healthcare. So generative AI in healthcare, it's like a very, very vast, because each and every area we have so many stuff. Like for example, medical imaging, that's a very fantastic one. I'll try to show some samples so that you can understand better way. And drug discovery. So to discover the drug, for example, you want to design the drug, so certainly we can utilize the generative AI. So within a fraction of a second, it will give the data. But if you ask me, if give the data, I mean like a procedures and all the steps over involved here, can we go and do that the experimental way? No, not like that. Because so we supposed to get the advice from the SMEs and the professionals. So we need to collaborate with that. So this specific the content which is generated by the Gen AI certainly help to make sure that your effort and timeline will be precisely reduced. So the one classical example I can say, during the pandemic, so during any pandemic actually earlier, right, so finding or inventing the new medicine or treatment for the diseases, it takes more than 5 years 6 years. That's what actually the survey is telling. But during this pandemic, the 2020, right, we have faced across the globe, we have suffered a lot, and even many of the lives are they lost their life as well. But during that time, they figured out like the drug, the co-vaccine, COVID. So there are so many drugs that are introduced, and they're using very like we got the injection. So that and all generated and innovated things like happen behind the screen. There is a small portion of our AML as well involved in that. I don't know go very detail in that, because the drug discovery perspective, the Gen AI and the AML is helping a lot. Even for cancer discovery, cancer diagnostics as well. So within a few hours, with the available data of the specific the patients, so we can figure out like what is the exact what is that like cancer cells, how it is affected, what is the severity, everything we can extract it. There was one thing happened in back in US. I couldn't find out. I couldn't recognize what is that the exact location, but they found the cancer cells within 6 to 7 hours. But generally, it takes more than 6 months. Diagnostics like repetitions of medicines and finding that cells is diagnostics in the lab, everything. But now, with the help of AI and ML, I mean like AI perspective, so they figured out that their diagnose that the cancer cells like less than 7 to 8 hours. So that's a powerful thing, right? And same way, personalized medicine. So let's say I'll show some sample here as well so that you can understand how it works. Already executed code in simple chat GPT, probably you can understand better way. Okay. And what is that, like health management system? Of course, like if you're running what is that, like the clinical things, so that there also we can utilize the Gen AI perspective point of like a chatbot and everything. Okay, right. So this is a very high level, but what are the capabilities of the AI? The capabilities of AI, like it's like across different verticals. That's going to be a text, video, image, code, music, speech, 3D. So our focus completely around with respect to the different use cases over here, right? So just apart from that, the healthcare analysis, just I want to give a little flavors about like what exactly the Gen AI, the key components, right? So the first one is going to be LLM, and the second one is going to be your vector database, and third one is going to prompt engineering. These are the main core when you're dealing with any, if you want to solve any solution using the Gen AI, we need these things. Actually, we need to select whether it's going to be what kind of LLM you're going to choose, or what kind of the vector database you are going to choose, and how we are going to try to the prompt engineering to get that outcome very effective manner. So these three things are very, very important with respect to the generative AI when you are architecting or when you're building any solution. So this is very important components. So LLM, what is LLM? It's going to be a large language model. In market, actually, there are so many LLM models are available. Open AI and Hugging Face and Falcon models. There are so many models are available. So based on the necessity, we can select this kind of trial and error only. So straight away we cannot opt the specific LLM model for use cases, because we need to train the data and we need to find out until we are getting the appropriate output and satisfactory output. Until then we need to fine tune the entire things. So LLM perspective, this is a content generation main backbone, and conversational AI and information retrieval and summarization. This is the main thing with the help of this architecture. So I don't want to go get into that the complete architecture point of view. You have the input embedding and output embedding. That is a very massive architecture internally. So like without further delay, I'm moving to the next slide. Right. Signification of prompt engineering. So prompt engineering, probably like those who are in the meeting, right? So the people of the session. So the prompt engineering is a high demand job and high pay job as well. But apart from that, there's a major thing in it, because the way to ask the questions. For example, if you're going to some restaurant, if you're asking some the delicious the dishes what you like, then probably like you have to explain that like you need how much salty, how much spicy, something like a customized way of getting the your favorite food, something like that. The prompt engineering, it involves making the question to the system precisely and focus on what you guys are looking for it. That's a very important, though, so that actually the prompt engineering plays a very phenomenal role in with respect to other components also very important. But the prompt engineering, the way of asking questions, supposed to be precisely and to the point. Then only we able to get the appropriate output. It could be any output. Okay, obviously again. So it could be any output in precise format without any hallucination or like any word bursts, anything. So there are so many things are there. So we can restrict those areas with the help of prompt engineering. That's a very important. And coming to the vector database, straight away you can utilize your data, but when if it is as a data, then there was a lot of even if it is like what is it like relational database management, like a relational database system, even though, but when you're looking as a like for this kind of generation, I want to go ahead with the different database model. That is the evaluation of vector database. Vector database is a completely, totally changes like the format with respect to other RDBMS available in the market, because it's a highly cognitive services, cognitive searches, and recommendations for perspective and text generations point of view. This vector databases are very, very important with respect to when designing your Gen AI product or tool, whatever you see. Because these vector databases like organize the data through 100 dimensions vectors. This is not going to be like a row and column. This is going to be completely indexed, so that the way to searching the data in that space, it will be easy. So kind of, if you look at the space, so here the vector database, here one area, and you have this is actually kind of clustering. So internally it's a clustering. When you try to search some text or whatever the information you want to search in that the population, so your vector database is providing appropriate data in quicker manner. That's a very important and beauty of the vector data. Okay, vector database. So if you're asking me what is the major comparison, if you want to understand quick way, here means a traditional vector database, it's going to be a SQL query, and in vector database is going to be a simple plain query. That is nothing but your prompt. So when you're passing the prompt, and then it's going to be getting inside the vector database and retrieving the output as it is, and very effective manner, and without, we don't want bother about like joining, giving the joins and etc, swimming, knowing the table name, nothing. You know the content, what kind of content inside the vector database has been already indexed, so those information we can retrieve very easily and quickly. So other things are here. So it's like a table, and we are calling out as a vector space, and in normal way we are calling as a column, and you're giving a dimension. There are the major differences, but I don't know go very in detail, but it's an interesting piece. Why I'm included in all this piece of work over here, so that you can understand how the things working internally. That's very important. Right. Now we are here. Healthcare applications for GenAI. GenAI is a subset of artificial intelligence. I don't go through one by one, but imaging, medicine, and drug development and discovery, and personalized medicine care. So let me show some screen so you can understand how this is. See, for example, already have I did some exercise patient. All right, so I don't want to go through running. I'm not going to execute anything. So this is my data set, guys. So the name, age, gender, blood type, medical condition, date of admission, and all this stuff. Okay. So this is a one data set already uploaded in my chat GPT. Okay. So here I am asking my chat GPT to do this analysis of the given data set. So quickly I'm getting this information. What is that? The name, age, gender, blood type. These are the columns, the basic graphic information about the patients, medical condition, and date of admission, and doctor details. So my GPT, that is a chat GPT, is internally like a, what is it, like a generative pre-transformer, digest this entire data set, and I got all this information. And same time, I'm able to understand what is the insight, complete insight about that. Okay, this is fine. Let me go into the analysis of the individual patients or the overall patients, understanding like what exactly the situation. So I'm asking list out the normal test results name. So here it's giving my data like Bobby Johnson, there is a status is a normal, and Danny Smith, the status is normal, Emily Jansen is normal, the status is normal. Again, further I'm going like what are the different test results which is available in my database, in my data set. So here I'm giving, see, look at here, it's give the details of the normal, inconclusive, and abnormal. So these are the major things. See, guys, if you look at that, if I'm using any other data analytics, or if you're doing any other, we are building any application, if you want to do this kind of exercise, it takes time. This is a simple understanding, like a simple flow, but in real time scenario, you can compare these kind of the flows, like how it works fine, right? So here I'm list out the abnormal test result name and their medical condition. Beautiful. I'm asking questions as a doctor, so I'm getting all these patients information details and what is the condition. So I'm analyzing the data with a fraction of a second, without any pain or without any like the technically knowledge of building that. So the doctors are like any any radiology specialist or any other specialist inside the campus, so they can do all the exercise without any issues. Simple chatbot. So this is a classical example for with respect to GenAI. Okay, so here I'm giving this very high level, I mean, like without coding, but based on the requirement, we need to build the complex solutions, and we need to build the code and need to integrate with appropriate what is that, like LLM models, and what is that, generative, I mean, like a website database. And on top of that, we have so many technology tools and technology, front end design, back end design. It's going to be a mobile based devices. We need to do all the kind of architecture, but this is a very basic stuff. And here I'm being list out the abnormal test result name and their medical condition. I'm getting here who are the very dangerous, the abnormal conditions. And same time here I'm asking the name, the blood type is O plus. So it's giving me the result. But if you want to asking, if you're asking these kind of questions like directly in the applications, means it takes time. But even if you are writing, you're capable of writing SQL query, it takes a lot of time, right? So with the help of this generative AI, within a fraction of seconds, you'll be able to get the answers. That is the beauty of what is that, Gen AI perspective. So the personalized medicine, so based on the conditions, querying stuff, be able to get the answers. We can give the treatment for prescribed way to the patients. Quickly here, I'm mentioning that consider you are a doctor with 20 years of experience, design the drug for healthcare, headache, 10 points. Share the chemical composition for above question and molecular design and safety measures. Simple, right? So what it's doing, it's giving all this information like a drug design for headache relief and expectance and dosage form, what kind of things, chemical composition of individual, the original chemical composition takes, and molecular design and safety measures. What are the safety measures you want to adapt when you build, when you are manufacturing the specific tablets and medicines for patients. So this is a quick thing because actually I've given them indication that you are a 20 years experience and give the drug design. If you are enhancing the year of experience and giving the sense of the more enhanced way, giving the prompt, your generative AI will give the exact and consolidated outcome for your trial and error point of view. This is just for example I'm saying, right? So this is a major thing. And then the drug discovery and personal development. So we have even this is specifically a rapid prototyping and precision medicine perspective. So we able to design the drug giving the appropriate input. See here, guys, actually I've given just a simple statement. But if you're using in your content with like the appropriate data, is we used to call as the own data. So when you're giving with own data, what will happen? My generative AI model will generate appropriate drug design based on the input which I already feed it into my system. Otherwise, it will take the data from the normal world, right? So those kind of things are that challenges are there, but since we doesn't have a time, like, so that I just got a shortcut shorting and going to the point. And same way, personalized medicine, already we have seen, we have what is that, like the number of patients are there and what are the complexity. Then based on that, so using this kind of generative AI tools, so we can like raise the questions, what kind of treatment we can give, what kind of tablets we can prescribe, those kind of information, those kind of the model we can build. We can could be a simple chatbot, anything, or else AI assistants will help us to building the what is it, like a dream, doing like a personalized medicine and giving a treatment plans and predictive analytics, like what kind of the side effect will affect for the patients. All those things we can do that way. Okay, and this is the one very interesting, but I couldn't figure out that. So initially, if you want to analyze any image by using deep learning and all, it's a bit complicated. But when you're using these kind of X-rays, the GPT, like the GPT is like capable of analyzing that image and getting out the what is the problem, what are the root causes, how we can rectify all those things. Actually, we can implement by using the Gen AI. Okay, I'll try to do that, but due to the what's it, like a subscription, so I couldn't upload the image and get the analytics on this one. But if you guys, what you can do, so once the session are finished, probably very time, So just download any X-rays and just you upload into the system and ask the chat GPT. For example, you're selling. So you can try to get that the what is the complication, what is the issues with that X-rays. Like you can extract all the details in a fraction of a second. And if you're asking what kind of the treatment we can go ahead, absolutely we can do it. So when I did this exercise, so for this the specific the leg X-ray, it said it's perfectly perfect, no issues when the specific the X-ray, so everything is fine. When I executing this specific what's a dental specific X-ray, so he thought about like there are the what are the misalignment, what is the issues with internally for this specific X-ray and the person, and even if you have the name of the person over there, it will extract all the detail and will give the complete procedure for the patients as well. So the things are very pretty easy and straightforward. Otherwise, we need the doctors obviously, but the doctor's job make easier by using this kind of Gen AI tools. Okay, and this is a normal thing, health claim. So if you want to fill the application, the health claim, the AI generated tool will extract the data from the document, and it will give the it will fill the application for you, and it will auto submit. It will do the process, and we have a set of workflow internally and execute, and it will do it claims basically completely automated things. So no need to intervention of manual intervention, right? And this is the automotive medical cycle, like how the things are working. So it's a quick life cycle, like how it's going, how it's coming up, like the report and other documentations, how it's getting into the system, how it is generating all the stuff. Okay. Yeah, without further delay, let me go into the architecture point of view, how the chart part works. The chart box works based on the knowledge base and the data storage within our system. And this is going to be our advanced NLP. Advanced NLP is nothing but our chat GPT, right? And generative AI. So here we are posting our questions. Either it could be like we need as an email attachment to back to your email ID or whatever it is. So once you are asking the questions, the NLP system will take that query and go to the knowledge base system, and it refer as well as the data storage, so that it will generate as an image or say content or as a video or audio, whatever the format we need, we can generate and we can utilize for our purpose. Okay, and this is a three-dimensional way. Again, how this is like a evaluation framework, how it is happening internally and how the outside world is interacting. This is the outside world, and internally how these things are working. This is the one. And I don't want to go through one by one, line by line here. The advantages: it obviously reduces the cost, improved efficiency, and answering the questions very quickly, and improves diagnostic accuracy. I've seen that some sample, and monitoring patients as well. Actually, there was a implementation IoT 4 connected with the patients and taking the data from the patients from the remote area and giving a treatment using this kind of chatbot also in current place, but probably in another 2 to 3 years or down the line. So definitely it will be implemented in India as well, I believe. So because the patient doesn't need to be always into the hospital, so they can facilitate something like the separate the space at home. They can connect it with IoT. The data will be transferred to that to system, and like our Gen AI will be getting the data and do all the what is it like taking care of that the patients, what kind of the treatment they want to give. So it will give the assistance as a human being. Anyway, we need the human being assistance, but our lives make easier, right? So anyway, the downside will be there. So incomplete assessment or increased cost sometime for technology perspective, or negative impact on the professional skills sometime, because always we cannot give the like 100% sure. There might be, but over the period we can enhance the system and we can do a lot of things. So this is a high level model, image, EHRs and signals and omics and graphics, all the information we can feed into the system and we can digest. So that is a high level, what is that like? I would say the foundation model for generative model with respect to for healthcare industries. And interestingly, we'll close this one quickly without further delay. AI using like a DALI, so it is capable of generating the image with the appropriate data feed into the system, so that the creating X-rays with the effective and fine-tuned with all the details of the impacted patients. For example, the patients has been like taken radiology, like they're taking the X-rays. So after that, that will be the input given to the system that will be generated the enhanced format of X-rays along with all the details. And same time, if you have the other tool or other product will have, so that will analyze your X-rays and give the follow-up treatment, or is there any other severe things we need to address that. So I don't want to go through this detail because already is delaying. So this is actually the architecture. So radiology based on input. So it will extract the text and encoder. It will generate the appropriate and effective and high level, very high quality X-rays we can generate, so that the treatment will be effectively we can done it. So altogether, generative AI is going to be is a phenomenal, because across the globe they are utilizing for multiple purpose, so multiple reasons. With so things are going still now. We are discussing now even the new product coming to the picture, and medical things are like really miracle, right? So it's going crazy, and obviously it's helping the humanity. So here I'm closing. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, or even after the session as well, you can reach out through my email, or else like my LinkedIn, wherever you want. So you can connect with me and you can interact at any time.
Sure, Shanthababu. So as I was like paying full attention to the presentation whole time, and I was really impressed, like how you are trying to introduce the new tech in the healthcare. And this as a community, I believe like it's a really good contribution. And I guess like you are working on a product which is like doing this thing.
Yeah, this is basically actually we are the in-house product as well, and based on the customer needs, then we are understanding their the pain points as well as the innovative way of thinking. Then we are building the product for them as well.
Great, great. So during the session, like I collected few responses from the attendees here and there, and few of my questions also. So
Yeah.
writing down, like I wrote it down, and like when it comes to like healthcare, and my like college project was something related to the healthcare. So when it comes to it, the main challenge is basically the accuracy and reliability, because it's a thing like when we are dealing with the humans, and especially any living being, right? So we have to be very careful. So how you are like taking care of like accuracy and reliability in these results, or like in the whole process?
Yeah.
So how to ensure that?
Yeah, that's good question. So, and on top of that, there was one more parameter, that is
Yeah.
data security and data privacy aspects. Because
Yeah.
so since we are playing around with the patient's data, right?
Uh,
So that's really like, so when we are dealing with that, like, so we first will answer my question, what I added the new parameter, then I'll come to that your point. So to the data point of view, like what we'll do, like we are not going to be um, the exactly the taking the data and not exposing the customer name. So that we're going to be like masking the data. So aligning with the GDPR point of view, that's very important perspective. And then the accuracy perspective, definitely. So we are not building the component today, and we are not going to deploy in next week or something like that. So that's going to be like continuously we are going to be testing and trialing the things, because it's dealing with the human life kind of stuff. That's the reason. So even for vet as well, actually we are giving like the product as well, not only for human being, like even for the vet as well. So veterinary perspective also, like we are giving diagnosis, I mean. So here that data going to be like the outcome need to be like understanding multiple trial and error, and then we'll need to aligning with that expertise. Obviously we need to like check with the expertise how this is aligning that. So once it's matching with that, then you go for trial and error. So if it is aligning with that, then we'll like make into the production. So that way actually we are recommending, but we need to get the recommendation from the specific the team from that the healthcare industries as well. So otherwise we cannot like, hey, product is developed, like we can go ahead for production, not like that. So certainly we need to get it certified. So it takes time, but once it's in the model, then keep on monitoring that, like how it is working, performing, because there is a data drift, data uh, potential data impact will be there. So we need to address. So the same way, like we are closely working on monitoring that product every time. Yeah.
Great, great, great. That is, I think, that is how we have to do it, because like when it comes to healthcare, there are a lot of policies. Like as I already talked about the life, that is anyway, like that is the top priority. Other than that, like there are policies of the nation and the policies of the states and cities, like everything there. And when you are dealing with anything which is public, then you have to actually take care of everything. So
Yeah.
moving on to the next question is
Yeah.
that in the existing healthcare system, like how does it work right now? Is basically everything is pretty manual, and all of the infos, like if you like from a user point of view or from a patient point of view, if I visit a doctor, right?
Mm.
So the every check, we do not rely on the machines that much. Like we do rely for the tests, we do
Mhm.
rely for the X-rays and everything. But apart from that, the doctor would like to check everything by himself or herself, like how whatever it is. And like when it comes to like the responses, people usually like also get the false responses, like, oh, the machine is telling that, but the doctor is saying something else, and then different opinions of doctors. So how you are going to integrate this in the existing health at the
See,
doctor
yeah,
level, at the
yeah.
patient?
Yeah, that's good thing. Actually, that's what I added already. So GDPR aligns, and every country
Yeah.
you have a. If you go to like US and all, HIPAA and GDPR, and even India, they are coming up with the new data privacy system.
Mhm.
So if you look at like in other countries like outside of the India, like in UK as well, if the doctor is looking some patient, so when you are sitting in front of the doctor directly, so ultimately they'll get all your reports. So so in India, and like only for inpatient, like those are got admitted in the hospital, they there only they used to collect the data and feed in the system. When they're going to discharge, they'll give the report, right? But here in outside US and UK and other Europe countries as well. So what exactly? If you're getting the appointment, doctor appointment, once you are sitting in front of the doctor, so they will open the system and they will see all your health condition. What are the meditations so far they're given, and what is the sugar level, what is the BP, what is the all your complexity. The system will give all the information integrated,
Yeah,
right?
centralized system is there.
Centralized, no, but because only within the only I'm talking about like outside the India. But even if you implement it in India, that will be really help, right? Otherwise the doctor has to start the treatment from the scratch. They don't know what happened. For example, if I'm going for some treatment, so doctor might think about already the medicine has been given to you, so which is not it's not working out for you, so that we can try something else. And same time they think about like what is the sugar level, what is the BP, what is the cholesterol, all the things. Actually the graphic representation will display on the board. Even the patients, as a patient, I can see that. So they will, what they will do, so I'm not going to recommend this tablets. So for this tablet going to be 1 week or 2 week, so that after that we can try it out something, because already you are given this tablet, this is not working for you. So that way, those systems already established one is a well thing. So, but now we are going to adapting our generative AI point of view, like make a bit more easier for doctors' job and the specialist job across. Yeah.
Great, great, great. Other than that, like moving to technical side, like as far I know about the like I tried few things, and the common problem which I encounter when it comes to deal with a lot of data is that the overflow of it, because like the prompts have a limit, right? So how like in this use case, like as far I could understand with this 30-minute talk, is that we'll have to like to the doctor, we are giving it to the doctor and patients, right? So from a user point of view, this should be all set up. They don't have to be like, they are not supposed to be technical, right? So from the other side, how we are making sure that everything is set up, like keeping in mind that the prompts have a limit, right?
Yeah. So see, if you take like any help the chat part, like so, for example, the chat part helping to recommend some tablets. So that will precisely it should ask the questions. So you cannot ask, I need a, I'm like a headache. So can you please suggest some tablet? So the chatbot definitely would not give the directly any metazine or crozine or dolo, whatever it is. Not like that. So it's supposed to ask many more questions. What is your age? What is your the other conditions, etc., etc. So we need to incorporate all this in our the conversational. That is why it's a conversational AI. So that will get the details from the patients or like who are asking the questions. So based out of that, that will recommend. And same time, it will give the information saying that like this is for recommendation for please consider the proper the doctor's prescription, because we shouldn't like outside of the India basically we cannot get any what meditations directly in the pharmacy. But in India probably you can get any tablets, anything directly. You can go and ask the pharmacist, hey, I'm headacheing like the 2 weeks, some fever, coughing, something like that. So they can get the immediately. That is a kind of a proto model of the AI assistant. They have the knowledge, but even though they need some prescription, something like that. So the overall the period then that will be like fine tuned, and we'll get to fine tune that. It's the initial stage, so it takes time to fine tune, but not longer, shorter time. Like it won't take that much time because already we have a history, so we will do that very precise in manner. Yeah.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you, Shanthababu. That was a lovely session with you and kind of very informative. And
Yeah.
a different domain, healthcare, which I would like to explore, like healthcare, environment, and other applications other than SaaS. So thank you for your words. Thank you for answering all of my questions, like my questions and users' questions. So would love to stay in touch with you.
Yep. Sure.
Good night for
Sure.
today.
Definitely.
That is
Yeah.
all. That was all from my side. And over to you, Tejveer.
Yeah. So I would like to extend my gratitude to Mr. Shanthababu for giving this exciting session, and we would love to stay in touch, sir. And we would like
Yep.
to welcome our next tech week whenever we conduct. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Feel free to connect with me. So I'm. You can connect through LinkedIn. You have my email, and those are watching this one, so they can connect anytime. So I'm happy to help. So it's a collaborative work, not individual individual contribution. So we need everybody's input and we enhance the system. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
All right. So we have our next speaker today, Mr. Amar. He has joined the session. Nearly 2 decades of experience in leading multiple businesses functions through rapid and continuous growth. Known for his success in operations, governance, product development, data management, and regulatory spectrums. Amar has excelled in high-stake positions with multiple multinational investment banks. He has set up and directed large-scale operations and teams, achieving business continuity, operational excellence, and resource optimization, along with establishing high-value businesses around and portfolios. As a thought leader, Amar has developed and nurtured high-performing teams in international as well as national locations. His work ethics and fresh approach to drive his success in leading optimization and managing various propositions across different stages of product development and delivery. Some highlights of Aman's careers include Group Chief Data Officer, India of Barclays, and defining data risk strategy, ethical AI practices, and data governance, leading the reference data platform for client and instrument and pricing, index and market data domain in JP Morgan. Amar is a change agent, team player, passionate leader, excellent coach and mentor, and motivator par excellence. Please join me welcoming our esteemed speaker, Mr. Amar Kaul. Over to you, sir.
Hey, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, perfect. I wasn't sure about that. Morning, evening, I don't know which all time zones are here. And firstly, a big thanks to CloudxLab for organizing this. I obviously know Sandeep long time, and I know how passionate he's about data engineering and everything around it. So it's great to be associated in this little way with the audience. Um,
Hi, Amar.
Obviously, hi.
Amar, your video is not visible. It's export.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Is it the problem on my side? I think it's on, but I don't know why it's not working.
It's showing like a black spot. So I thought
Yeah.
you can try rejoining, like if it
Let me
helps.
rejoin in 30 seconds again. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Does it work?
Yeah, I think this didn't have. No, it's not visible yet.
Hmm. What do you guys suggest?
So you can join from, I guess, multiple devices, like a phone maybe, and keep the video on from the phone and like use the laptop. I hope you might be using the laptop or desktop for
Let me
the,
try doing that. Yeah.
yeah. So usually mobile works pretty fine without any for audio video at least.
Recording in progress.
You have to.
Did it work?
You'll have to mute from the desktop. It's echoing. So I guess you can disconnect the audio from leave the computer audio from the computer, and you can use the mic and video both from the mobile, I guess. That should work fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, now it's okay.
I think this one is working, right?
Yeah, this one is working.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's not waste time. Thank you for having me. Uh, just purely on my background, I have almost very less knowledge about data outside of finance. So I'll stick to my core space and share what I thought is getting more important with the AI emerging technologies, whether it's Gen AI or even traditional AI ML, where banks are still sort of lacking. There is a lot of focus, obviously, last few years from beyond the storage and compute as it has got sort of commercialized. The way, if I look at the banking sort of financial services environment, it's generally a laggard, right, in terms of following latest technology, at least at the lag of like 3 to 4 years, primarily because of legacy infrastructure and also because financial services generally operate with a lot of trust. and under a lot of risk and regulations based on which country they're operating, which is a huge factor of what we do from a tech standpoint, right? What I thought I'll probably spend some time how financial services look at AI ethics and governance. Obviously, there's a lot of good momentum with regards to us creating more and more value for our clients. At the same time, what is also important and wanted to share is if I take Barclays as an example, which I represent, it operates in around 50 plus countries and is liable for around 500 regulations. Some are tax based and some are regulatory in terms of license to operate. This makes it actually very hard for us to materially change customer experience using technology in a very fast and nimble way. Now, the reason I'm sort of laying that as a context is which is where things like AI ethics, and if for folks who are listening and reading about this, with Gen AI, obviously there's a lot of excitement, right? But at a financial services level, we still believe there is a lot to achieve with regards to clarity on risk, clarity on the regulation, clarity on the boundaries on which we can operate. At the same time, as a productivity tool or as a productivity accelerator, I think Gen AI is already sort of entering into our desktops, machines, what we use, whether it's through Copilot and a few other means, right? On the ethics side, this is not unusual for financial services from where I come, but there are 6 parameters I would like to touch upon probably in my discussion or dialogue today. The fundamental is bias. We deal with demographically very variant crowds of client based on the products we sell them. Some are from a economically backward versus up to like ultra high net worth individual. The product and services we offer in whichever region we are comes with heavy regulation and also comes with an aspect of consumer duty, right? And that sort of precedes regardless of whichever technology we are trying to pursue. What you may have already noticed based on which public model of LLM you want to use in Gen AI, there is a bias. Now, this is not unusual. As humans, we do have bias, but that does follow a process by the time you actually approve a loan from a system and a process standpoint. But not having transparency on the aspect of bias coming from LLM does make it harder to adopt and regulate at the same time today. I'm sure it will improve and there will be ways of how do you sort of decode that. The second big aspect from our standpoint, obviously, is privacy, right? If you look at privacy, it comes in different shapes and forms. This is already quite a hot topic across the world, right? When you do it for social engagement itself is a chaos. And when you do it in financial services, it just becomes much harder, right? There are existing data privacy laws in most of the developed nations. If you look at Europe, it's very heavy on privacy with regard using GDPR and right to forget. If you look at China, they have its own sort of privacy laws in terms of data retention and retrieval, even to the point of data center storage. And if you look further west in the United States, it even has state level regulations, both for financial services as well as health-based data like HIPAA and CCPA. So a lot of privacy aspect is, and I'm sure this will keep evolving, right? As we speak, India actually has its own act, which we are currently looking at with regards to data privacy, mostly from a digital personal standpoint, right? Now, this becomes a very interesting angle of what it means when you try to, even if you try to anonymize data as part of your LLM models, how much of that could be enriched, used, leveraged, retained over a period of time. As we know, most of these models need a lot of training if you're using an LLM-based tech and building wrappers around it for commercial or research purposes. So that's going to be a very, very big component, which needs more, I would say, bells and whistles. before we sort of call ourselves fully tuned on that. The third one, in my view, is actually the overall operating model. Now, for those who come from obviously pure engineering, dev, or production support, there used to be a term called DevOps, which is sort of migrating into MLOps, which itself was hard to digest, as traditional software programming was still sort of in transit. And now we have AI, right? So I think one of the other big challenges for us as a large bank, and pretty much for anyone which has a large presence in terms of both run and operate, is what does the operate look like, right? Essentially, if you think when you're running like AI-based models, whether Gen AI is the interface or not, the current set of tools or of how do you do production support, or how do you operate, or how do you even do audit logs to decipher an issue when it is raised, is sort of limited. And I think it's still very much in a nascent stage to kind of get to a point that you can resolve a ticket at a particular SLA or a particular speed with particular set of technologies, operating model, and authority. So I think that's going to be I feel that's going to be a huge opportunity for people who are in that space to create models which are more AI ops friendly in the future. At the same time, currently, it does remain a point of concern for us. Fourth one, I think that's probably applicable across the board, but more so where there is proprietary information involved is IP. I think it's already a point of contention in a lot of content creators. Banking is no separate. We do use in certain pockets proprietary information, proprietary models, proprietary partnerships to create better value for our products, at the same time, better value to our shareholders. And how does that translate into us using, I would say, public LLM or creating private large language models? I think we'll have to wait and watch, considering there is some regulation that we also expect in terms of the public-private sort of usage of the data. But that's by all means is going to be a huge dampener to slow down our ability to go faster on Gen AI. But at the same time, I think once we solve that, sky's the limit. I think once the IP clauses are well accounted for and the people get the right monetization for data that they share, exchange, or leverage, I think there's a lot of benefit, especially in spaces like health tech, where especially in spaces like environment related climate tech projects, which we fund as a bank. So we are keeping a close eye from that standpoint. But at the same time, as a bank itself, we are still trying to kind of figure out what's the law of the land and in terms of shareability and accountability. So that sort of continues to sort of evolve. I think the last two are interesting, and that if you look at financial services, whether you're asking for a loan or you are trying to get a illiquid asset managed based on your portfolio, if you're ultra high net worth or institution, there is always a counterparty that takes the risk, right? It's either the bank or the broker or the agency, or in certain cases, even government plays a middle tier or a broker to manage that risk, right? And if you look back in time, every time there has been a financial crisis, those counterparties have actually protected at least one side of the transaction or the bid in a lot of cases. Now, the reason I'm kind of laying out this scenario is if you play this out in a Gen AI sort of expansive model in banking, it becomes very interesting. I mean, we do algo trading today as well, but it's limited to our proprietary book. We have not exposed, or most banks have not necessarily exposed it to the wider mass to be used as an open source. And I think that becomes the trick. If who owns the liability if you're really exposing an advanced tech like Gen AI for financial modeling, for risk mitigation, for recovery, for asset liquidation, or any scenario that may actually utilize. But since the clarity of who really owns the risk for a default could be an interesting use case, which I don't think we have studied fully. And I think that was somewhat of a similar challenge with even blockchain-based technologies. In certain pockets, obviously, blockchain is now like 10 plus years. So there is a little bit of that ring fencing that has happened, right? Where you see financial transactions now happening on coins, which are Bitcoin-based technology. So I feel like that's going to be a similar evolution in that phase as well. The last one is, I think, purely a competitive disadvantage the world, what we see today, right? If you really look at who owns the maximum compute when it comes to Gen AI, I think you can count them on fingers, which is not necessarily competitive or even democratic, right? If to a large extent, right? And I think that's not necessarily a financial services challenge, which I'm probably more covering. So, but I think it's a little bit more fundamental in terms of the anxiety and existential crisis that you can start thinking if you're on the pessimistic side. Well, you don't necessarily have to be, right? But that's something that over a period we would imagine to further sort of come out. Like there has to be more parity on who gets to compute the usage of data, store, and then sell. That is obviously not the case with any other products that you see in the market, which are either used or not. So I think that's the whole aspect of the monopoly that we see today is something that we'll have to figure out both in terms of the hardware and the software part. And obviously a lot of that depends on the proprietary or non-proprietary data that is available. So there's a bit of that evolution that will help financial products to leverage as the compute gets more reasonable in with regards to democratic aspect of it, rather than today I think it's more heavily run by tech companies, more so for social and e-commerce platform in a more publicly viable way, while medical research and some of the other, I would say, industries and by sectors are starting picking up. I think that's what I sort of wanted to cover in the time I had. I don't know if there is an ability to open a discussion, but I'm happy to take any questions if I can help answer.
Great. Thank you, Amar. Thank you for your insights on the privacy and data regulation. So yeah, finance, like when I heard finance, like like when I saw the profile that, okay, you are working with Barclays. So the first thing which came to my mind is that whenever we are working with something related to, which involves the finance, or you can say the governments of the nation, or let's say like even in the multinations, right? So that involves a lot of regulation. So let's say like if you're working on something, you're developing a feature. Uh, though I believe that in case of features also, uh, it depends on the nation, like what is required here and what is required elsewhere. But still, I would like to ask, like, if you are developing something for the multinations and the regulations are different, so how do you deal with it? Like, uh, if it is working fine with India, and if it is not, the feature might be a problem for the other nation. So, how do you manage that part?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good question, right? I mean, if you look at if I take some examples, right? If you look at payment business or securities business, now payments are cross borders to a large part. Different countries have different regulation of how do you send that payment as an instruction cross border. At the same time, at the end of the transaction cycle on a quarterly or an annual basis, there are different regulatory requirements that the government has in terms of submissions of your volume and value. And that we have to comply. So, right, while you can build an engine which can talk to across the globe, pretty much anywhere where you can build connections, in terms of regulatory authorities, it's typically very Western dominated in financial services, but at the same time now we are seeing more and more China, India playing a dominant role. You can obviously look at the top 10 GDPs. They pretty much dominate the regulatory authorities at this point.
Okay. So you have to always find a middle ground. Okay, as far I could understand. Anyways, so what exactly is like? I can see that the assistants are there in the finance, which can basically help answering the queries at the personal level. Not exactly I know at the much about the corporate banking, but still what exactly is the reason when it comes to banks or like the financial institutions, like what they're trying to apart from the one thing I know is that the loan lending part and removing the bias, and which you also discussed in your, I think, first or second point. Apart from that, what exactly like how a general user, how an individual can see that, oh, this is the AI behind the finance.
Yeah, I think I initially sort of mentioned, right? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. As I was saying, I think for us, productivity is a big bet at this point, right? And for any bank for that matter. And productivity in both terms, right? One is inward, which is our employees that can be more productive of managing the workload. Let's say we are processing KYC, which is know your client. There are smarter ways of processing that. If you are processing a customer complaint module to your customer retention or selling new products, we in retail, this is high volume and also very unstructured data. It's voice to text, sometimes it's email, sometimes it's documents. How do you bring that whole together? I think there is a huge advantage with some of these emerging technologies that we see. Like currently, it's very linear programming, which can fundamentally shift in terms of our ability to respond to a customer query, whether they are escalating through a Twitter feed, whether they're escalating through an email, or whether they're escalating through a phone call. So you can almost bridge that's going to be, and not just escalating, but any communication for that matter. I think that's a huge play out for us. On the customer side, I think there are some sophisticated businesses where we believe we can produce a better customer experience, which is intelligent, more intuitive, using obviously at a more layman terms, it's a chatbot, but how effective you can be in doing a financial analysis or a portfolio summary or a positions match. I think today there's a lot of high touch operational cost involved on both sides, which could, I think that friction possibly could reduce. That's I would say another example.
Yeah, that is a great, good insight. I believe. I think whenever I interact with a human, and that is very costly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was enough from my set of questions. Let me check, like, if the audience have any on the other platform.
Yeah, I don't see any, but I'm just you have the more control.
I also can't see anything. So okay, thank you, Amar. Thank you for joining for the today's Tech Week, and it was a different topic where actually I got to know about governance. So yeah, I think from each speaker I get to know a different topic, and I am like a curiosity is there that, oh, this is also we should have in the back of the mind while developing something or while thinking about something or while in the ideation process. Right? So governance and all of these things are also there as part of the society or the nation where we live in. Thank you, Amar. Thank you for joining. And I would request everyone, the attendees, to connect with Amar. And I hope, like, as Amar gets time, he'll be more than happy to answer the queries. And we also, you can reach out to the CloudxLab also. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys, and have a good one.
Yeah. Good night.
Thanks.
Over to you, Tejvi. You can take the discussions ahead.
Sure. Would like to thank Amar for the insightful session. And we will love to host you back. for our next tech week, whenever we will be conducting. So with the concluding remarks, Sachin, thank you so much for joining the session. And I would also like to thank all the speakers who took their time out from their busy schedule and delivered a insightful keynote session. And thank you everybody for joining the day 2 of the Tech Week. For day 3, we will be available tomorrow at 7 p.m. Along with that, we will have a set of new speakers in which Mr. Vittal Jadhav will be there, Mr. Saurabh Kumar, and Mr. Ramesh Babu. So you can join. The details will be shared with all of you from CloudxLab. And thank you so much again for joining the session. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Have a good day. Good night, everyone. Good night.